Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. See some people still getting connected. Awesome, awesome. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We have an hour of greatness, and I hope you all are ready because we're ready. So we're talking about rising potential, and this is featuring our current Ascend participants from our cohort 5. They will introduce themselves in just a moment. As we get started and individuals enter the room, just want to let you know what our agenda is. We are going to have a discussion and we want to hear from you as we share some of our insights. My name is Jonica Nixon. I go by the pronouns of Yeye, which is Swahili. It means feminine or woman, so she, her. And I also have 3 of my amazing cohort 5 scholars on the call. So I'd love for them to introduce themselves, beginning with Louise. Oh, you're on mute. Yes.
Apparently, my mic was off. I apologize. Hi, everybody. This is Luis Alarcon, Director for Recruitment and Admissions at Lincoln Community College.
Welcome, Del.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Del K. Murray. I am the Assistant Dean of Academic Services at Tulane University Law School.
Awesome. And Brianna.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brianna Rhodes, and I'm the Associate Director for UF Online Enrollment Services at the University of Florida. Oh, Jonica, it looks like you're muted now.
Now I'm muted. I am the program coordinator for the Ascend program, and I'm actually a graduate of the graduate cohort 2. And I've had the wonderful privilege of assisting new scholars as they come through the program and also connecting our alumni as we grow our network. So just want to give you a brief overview of the Ascend program. But before we do that, we wanted to get to know who is on the call today. So if you wouldn't mind, please take a moment and join our Slido. You can use your phone and take a picture of the QR code that is in the left-hand corner, or you can join online by opening up another web browser tab and typing in slido.com and then entering our code, which is 3864130. So take a moment and reflect with us. Let's center ourselves on what we're talking about today, which is professional development, what it is and how we make it happen. So what are the major issues impacting mid-level professionals today? Thank you so much. And these are completely anonymous, so feel free to be as honest and forthright as you are able to be. Being stuck, constraints, burnout, priorities, being able to see the big picture that we are sometimes not privy to. The ability to get professional development that they need. Information not being shared, lack of support, not being able to grow professionally, opportunities for appropriate. Rapid changes in IT. Got it, got it. These are good. Thank you for sharing. Lack of mentorship, time and cost. Oh, delayed retirement of some professionals, making it more difficult for younger professionals to advance. That is wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next slide, but thank you. Please continue to bring those in. Another way to get to know you is who is in the chat with us today. So what area does your role currently fall under? And we welcome you. I think Brianna, Dell, and Louise all represent the majority of these areas, including myself. So we are all in good company. And we'll talk about who this program is best suited for in terms of your roles and your proficiency areas. And last but not least, we do have another question. You can select 3 options. What is your preferred way for professional development? I have a follow-up question. This is pretty dynamic. So when I speak with most of the individuals who participate in the ASCEND program, usually they haven't had a coach or a mentor before. So could you let me know in the chat, while this may be your preferred, who has had a coach or a mentor? So you can either raise your hand or you can either say yes or no inside of the chat. I'm curious. Got it. Okay. So it is preferred in that we may not currently have it, but we sure would like it. Okay, a mentor as a young. Wonderful. Wonderful. Perfect. Thank you all for sharing. All right. So this sounds like the perfect opportunity for you all. Just to give you a bit of information as we go in, like centering what is Ascend, what is the purpose and the rationale behind it. I was reading a book actually that was recommended to me by my coach, who at the time was Dr. Tamikia Legrand. If you're familiar with her, she is very active inside of ACRO. She is currently the president of Prairie View University. She wasn't the president when she was coaching me, but I did get to go through that experience with her, which was dynamic. And one of the beautiful things is the way that she enriched my mind to think about what was happening in the context of higher education and enrollment management. And one of the 2 books that she recommended, one was by Nathan Graw. And he said this statement that just came to me as I was reading the book. And I think this is where we are, right? Currently, the next decade will be a time of considerable change in higher education. And we're seeing that through some policy changes, through the elections, and a lot of other things that are happening in terms of technology. We mentioned AI, and we also mentioned kind of staying abreast and of what's happening with IT. So technology is opening up new ways of teaching and introducing new forms of competition, which some predict will amplify ever-present forces of innovative disruption. So I actually love that because I took on, I am a disruptor. I don't know about y'all, but I am a disruptor. So as you will go through, you will learn that many of the individuals on this call have grown and evolved to be disruptors. We ask new questions. We are not afraid to ask questions. We're not afraid to bring agendas to the table. And Nathan continues, as healthcare and pension costs rise, federal and state budgets look to be even tighter, raising questions about the future of higher education allocations. Student conceptions and expectations of higher education appeal is in flux and now at a sizable reduction in the number of available students. So we have this cataclysm that's happening inside of what we see as higher education. And what does it mean to be an agile college, but also an agile leader? What does it mean to be innovative? And we're going to talk about that today with 3 individuals about, okay, so professional development exists. How do I make it happen for me? A little bit about the Ascend program as well. The real goals exist to empower leaders to drive equity, right? We want to be disruptors as we think about equity. How do we make sure that there's a seat for everyone at the table that desires to be at that table? And how do we also develop partnerships for other ways that education can exist for individuals inside of our communities and the communities that our institutions serve? How do we spur innovation? And then how do we reshape that learner experience are all wrapped into that. We have what's called an ascend sphere, right? This circle that is very important, but these are 5 components of Ascend, right? What Ascend does and how it makes innovation happen, how we change the way we think about learner, restructuring the learner experience, and how we also become disruptors is through this idea of career development coaching, cohort-based engagement, capstone, which is our SIM capstone that we work on, and then currency development. What does it mean to know? What does it mean to say? What does it mean to do? And how do we navigate the different fields? I take it as most of us are still considered first generation college students when we went through, and we didn't know what we now know, right? We had to develop the currency of how to move and navigate through higher education. And thus, as you're a leader, you have to understand how do you transition from student to leader. And another book that Dr. LeGrand recommended to me was by Paul LeBlanc. And he said something that really stuck out to me, and that's talent is universally distributed, but opportunity is emphatically not. And that is what we see in terms of a lot of the answers that you all gave with regards to moving up into leadership. Like what happens for that mid-career professional, right? We feel stuck. We feel like there aren't opportunities. There is no mentoring. How are individuals addressing performance management versus performance evaluations? So those things will be discussed here. And then how we do that. And this is more for individuals who are in the program, but just so that you know, it is not a solo effort. You are working with a team, you are in the middle of the program, and you are central to the program. And then around you is a circle of individuals, your village, that's helping to inspire you, to ask questions with you, to encourage you, to hold you accountable. And that is your coach, that's our faculty, that's the SIM program staff, individuals like myself and those who work for ACRO. And then there's also your colleagues and your alumni. So all of these individuals help you over the course of your 9-month engagement in the program. And with that, if you have any questions throughout, please do feel free to ask them. But I'm going to get started with this panel who I can't wait for you to truly get engaged with. And so the first question that I want to ask, and anyone can answer this, is what inspired you to pursue the Ascend Leadership Program, knowing all that you know? And anyone can jump in. Brianna?
Thank you, Jonica, for the question. So I thought a lot about this question and what inspired me to get to this point. And I think it's so multi-layered. And thinking about professional development and how we kind of own our course of professional development, anytime there's an opportunity to lean in and learn more from other professionals outside of my organization, especially, I truly want to take advantage of that. And that's been one of the primary benefits to me of the ACRO Ascend program so far, is being able to engage with so many talented professionals from across the country. But really what drove me to apply for the program was I was at a conference and I ran into an old colleague who had some engagement with the program prior, and she really encouraged me to go to an information session with Jonica, which you guys are all doing here today. So kudos to you for being here. And I learned a lot about the program and you know what was being accomplished through the program, which then led me to think, is this year the right time, and go ahead and apply and lean into it. So evaluating all those factors and just taking advantage of opportunity and information. And I think for everyone who's on the call, you're already doing that by attending webinars such as this one. So
I think I'll go ahead and I'll add as well. I would say for me, probably within the past 2 years, I was brainstorming of how can I give more to myself professionally. And being in higher education for over a decade, I started off in collegiate athletics, the academic side as well as the academic side. And I had a broad network. When I transitioned over to the academic side, my network was small and like non-existent. And now, a little bit over 15 years, I really wanted to lean into my professional network and gain a professional network on this side of higher education. And like, yes, it has been over a decade, but I wanted to give that to myself. And I saw Ascend as a program where I could do that, you know, and fulfill that, have that meaningful experience.
I'll jump in. I want to just share that, thank you to everyone who has shared without candor and honesty about some of the things that are keeping you from getting to where you want to be. And that was certainly one of the motivating factors for me to participate, to apply for the program, obviously, because of that environment where sometimes you're trying to do your best and it just seems like opportunities are not there. And so this really represented an opportunity to be surrounded by a cohort of individuals who understand your issues, your struggles, your needs, and also the opportunity to collaborate with them, learn from them, and how you have those executive coaches, which I'm very blessed to actually have two coaches working with me in developing, better leadership skills, in getting more familiarized with strategic enrollment management, and that you also have access to the faculty as well and to the ACRA staff, available to help you to where you need to be. And that you should always see this opportunity truly as an investment into yourself, into your own professional development, and that it really pays off. And that if you can craft this in a way to your leadership, most likely you'll be able to get some sort of financial assistance in terms of being able to pay for the program or for the SEM conference or for the annual meeting. There's always ways to help you, right, with the financial assistance part.
I loved all of those answers because in each one, there was this goal that was there, right? Getting a network was important for Dell as she was moving from one area of higher education to another area of higher education. For Brianna, I heard that there was like this entryway of redefining like yourself and what's next for you. And then also for Louise, it was about making sure that I had a cohort that I can share. And what I've seen happen for all of these individuals, as well as the others who participate in this cohort, we accept 10, is this constant sharing of knowledge. So we'll have a workshop and then a lot of resources because the information is crafted in a way that helps you, I want to say, think more strategic about it, but there's already things that you're bringing to the table. So what I try to remind scholars as they come into the program that I was reminded, so I'm paying it forward, is you're not coming in with a deficit, right? Dell didn't leave her years of experience. Louise is already a director, right? So you're sitting right there and you're thinking, and Louise mentioned, like, I'm working with my coaches to be more strategic, to have better conversations, to align myself, because it is this barrier, right? This glass ceiling sometimes that exists in roles that we have that we can create for ourselves, but that are actually there, right? They're not just perceived, they are reality. And so working with individuals in the cohort and sharing those resources reminds yourself, oh, I have a lot to offer. And in that sharing, you're also helping the next person. So there is just a wealth of information that happens among the individuals who are participating. The Ascend Leadership Program, as mentioned, is a 9-month program, and it empowers mid-career strategic enrollment management leaders. And I say that loosely because we have individuals who are still understanding that strategic enrollment management is a new concept, right? It's still in its infancy. It's about 20 years old, but higher education has been around for over 100, right? And we have some schools that date back even further than that. So this idea of strategic enrollment management, when I put it there, I want you all not to say, I don't have that, right? Or I'm not that. You are, because everyone is understanding, like retention used to be everyone's job. Enrollment is everyone's job. Now, the goal is to move from just enrollment to strategic enrollment, making sure that we align learner goals, making sure that we have the services that meet learner goals, making sure that we have the resources that meet learner goals. And all of that revolves around the positions, right? There's no strategic enrollment if there isn't academic services. There's no strategic enrollment if there isn't a registrar. So I say this as a totality of what exists for higher education leaders is to really think about yourself as strategic enrollment management leaders, because everything comes down to enrollment and how we get the student, but also how we keep the student, get the student to completion. So please follow me as I use strategic enrollment management leader, because you may think I'm not in strategic enrollment management or I'm not in enrollment management, but I indeed consider that you are there. So now that I've centered that, The goal again is to drive equity, spur innovation, and reshape the learner experience. For my panelists, in your first quarter of participation, what are one or two key takeaways that have already sparked meaningful change in your personal or professional development?
I'll jump in, Jonica, and I wanted to thank you you made a comment before we transition to this question about having something to give to this program and coming in. And it's something that I think I just wanted to highlight real quick and thinking about imposter syndrome and coming into a space and sharing thoughts openly. I think it's something that so many people struggle with, but to really think all the folks who are coming into this program have really great experiences. We have over 10 years of experience in one area or another, 15 years of experience. We have this knowledge to share, and it's so powerful to share that with colleagues. But to answer your question more directly, Jonica, some key takeaways from Ascend. We've only just been through the first couple of months of the Ascend program, and I've already taken so much away. I've worked in higher education now, specifically in enrollment management, for over 10 years at various institutions, some smaller private institutions, now a large public institution. And there are so many moving pieces within higher education that impact enrollment. And even though I've had this experience in admissions for all these years, and I know the other pieces that are involved, truly coming into this experience and learning more about the capstone and engaging with the faculty in the program is really helping put all those pieces together, which is the strategic part, right? Thinking about all the pieces of the puzzle and how they come into play with strategic enrollment management. So I think there are a lot of concepts that I was privy to and had knowledge of prior to coming into this program. And this program is really helping me to kind of bring it all together and really understand the full picture. So that's a broad overview of some of my big takeaways from the program. But going a little bit more granular to my personal experience, I lead a team and we work with coaches, which it's so great to have coaches in the program and have mentors and folks that we're able to bounce ideas off of. But talking to a mentor, I think within your organization, talking to one outside of your organization, you'll get completely different views on how to handle situations. You often get folks with more objective views for outside of your organization. So my coaches have really helped me with leadership skills from the day to day that have really challenged me and given me different perspective and how to develop those who report to me. So it's kind of this full circle experience. And those are just two of the biggest key takeaways for me in the program. The coaching experience has been incredibly impactful. And then the overall bringing all the pieces together has been fantastic.
And I'll go ahead and I'll add to Brianna's comment. And both Brianna and Jonica said a couple of things that really stood out to me as I thought about answering this question. What Brianna shared, I think something along the lines of like imposter syndrome, with the question about what are major issues impacting mid-level professionals today. I don't think that I saw imposter syndrome, but I think we can all agree that that may be something that, exists among us related to thinking about the next level. One of the two professional development takeaways for me as I've worked with my coach and along with other coaches, I have one assigned coach, is that I'm not isolated on an island with the challenges that I have, or the things that I aspire to do or how I aspire to grow. Some of the coaches, they're like, Dale, that's something, work-life balance is something I'm still working on, and they've been an executive leader or they are an executive leader. So it lets me know that, hey, I'm not, as bad as at whatever it may be as I thought. And this is something that's going to be an ongoing, something that I'm going to have to work on lifelong, as a professional. But also the opportunity to receive coaching on that. Being able to leverage not just one coach, but all the coaches, because the coaches, when they made themselves available to us. And as Brianna shared, related to internal coaches versus external coaches, just really being able to leverage those coaching relationships on different perspectives on how to better navigate the challenges that we may be facing day to day in that moment. Because I personally believe whenever we experience certain challenges on a lower level, those are going to be common challenges on higher levels that we're going to need to be able to do subconsciously. And I appreciate those coaching opportunities. The second thing that I appreciate about a professional development takeaway is being a participant of the program as well as a higher ed scholar. I've learned about various leadership theories, but being able to learn from the faculty in the program about leadership theories and how to leverage those as a practitioner really brought to my attention of, Dale, you operate out of these, three primary frameworks as a leader. There's all these other leadership theories that you can operate from to be a better leader. So I really look forward to expanding my leadership, how I lead in different situations with formally and informally direct reports to, continue to be a transformative leader. So lots of great takeaways, but those are the two that I'd like to highlight.
I share the sentiments from my peers. I think the coaching part is really priceless. As it's been mentioned, even though you may be assigned to one coach, you have access to the entire lineup of all the coaches and their bios and what their expertise is. So you can always reach out to them to initiate that conversation because we may have existing gaps in knowledge or resources. So they are available to also meet with you, even though they are not your assigned coach. And the idea of this program is that we come to this program with a skill set. We come to this program with resilience, with determination, with motivation, with a desire to learn and to excel. And that is the assumption from the faculty and the coaches. They are here to help you. What is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that you're missing? How can we help you get there? And that is really instrumental, specifically on my end when it comes to the strategic enrollment management part. So that has been really like a very important takeaway. And then the other, it's that you also get access to learning credentials per se. So you can, get knowledge on environmental scanning, on financial aid and the registrar's duties. You can get access to what the role of the manager is when it comes to retention and completion. You can get access to managing and leading an admissions office, things of that nature. So there may be an existing gap in knowledge. You have access to continue to learn and to continue to acquire additional skills and things that can help you become a better leader in your division, better lead your team, and hopefully eventually get that desired promotion.
I am loving the way this conversation is going. And you talked a lot about coaching, your experiences with your coach. So coaching, I just want to highlight for prospective applicants, it is the signature part, and it is what makes Ascend stand apart. For me, it was why I elected to participate. I was very much in a situation between, I would say everyone, Louise, Brianna, and Dell, where you are trying to determine your level of knowledge and you don't know what you're missing, right? We don't know what we don't know until you meet someone who opens your window of opportunity by way of knowledge, by way of skills, by way of experience. And you're just like, I love this. Why didn't I do it earlier? The great thing is Ascend had only been operating for 2 years at that point, so I wasn't too late. But when the scholars, for our current scholars, when you think about coaching, had you had a coach prior? Yes or no? And even if you had a coach prior, how did you approach this experience with your coach who you don't know, who you're not able to meet in person? We started the program virtually during the summer. You typically, in the past, we've started it when we arrive at the SIM conference. So there is an idea that you get to meet your scholar, your fellow cohort scholars, and you also get to meet your coach. But here it was all virtually getting started. How did that feel? How did you approach the conversation? What would you do differently to launch that so you can take advantage of this full 9 months of experience?
Those are really great questions, Jonica. And I'll start with, I've had other mentors before in my professional career, and those relationships just developed organically. I've been blessed with having some really fantastic leaders in my organizations and being able to develop those relationships in a very organic way, and that we're working on similar projects. We have this exposure to each other and we can build the relationship and learn from one another. So I have had that intentional mentorship experience before, but this coaching experience with Ascend was very different for me. It is very different going into an experience where you're meeting someone online. Like Jonica said, it doesn't feel as organic. So you have to just lean in and be, I would say, authentic in the interactions and getting to know these individuals. I think the best way to approach it, and maybe something I actually would change going back, I've met with my coaches a few times now, is really build that foundation of getting to know each other and the professional experiences in a deeper level, and go off of information and storytelling and sharing in that way. They've been really instrumental in helping me with some challenges that I've had to overcome in my current position. But I think I would start in a more get to know each other kind of fashion on those initial meetings, because we jump in, it's, for me, it was all business. All right, we're getting into this. This is the goal of the program. And I know we're building this connection, but I think in any time that we build networks, this is something I've actually discussed with them. Those authentic relationships can't be really understated, and just going in with pure intentions of who you are, your goals, and what you're trying to accomplish, and talking with them about their experiences, I think will be the best way to get good feedback and good dialogue going, and taking their recommendations and putting them into place and learning and growing in the experience. So those are some of my initial experiences with the coaches so far to date.
I'll go ahead and I'll share next. Like Brianna, I've had mentors, coaching, external coaches beyond any institution that I've worked at. I haven't had that. In a previous role, I worked with executive leadership a lot, and I was fortunate that they cared enough about me to coach me through mistakes, to coach me through moments where I can learn to be a better professional. From those internal coaching experiences at that previous institution, I wouldn't be the professional that I am today with them supporting my growth in that role. Having a coach now, I took that approach to, like, I'm not gonna, my thought process was, I can't get the most and leverage this opportunity over this 9 months and maybe beyond that if I don't allow myself to be along the lines of what Brianna shared. She shared authentic, and the word that I will use will be vulnerable. We were required to do a questionnaire, and I really took time to do that. And I'm also completing my dissertation, so I've been typing and writing, and you just, I feel like you write a lot when you're dissertating, more than I would if I wasn't. But I mean, my response to my questionnaire was about 5 pages, single spaced. Maybe not narrow margins, but that's the level of intentionality I took with it, and laying it all out on the line. Like, this is me, this is where I've been professionally, this is where I am right now professionally as well as personally. Because if they don't also have a level of understanding of what's going on in my personal life, any major transitions, then how can I benefit from this coaching? Because yes, we are professionals, but we are also individuals outside of our professional lives, whether that's a mom, sister, friend, aunt, scholar, parader. I live in New Orleans, maybe you do parades, whatever that is, but we have more than one identity. And so with that, I allowed myself to be vulnerable. I can't speak to if there's anything that I would do differently at this moment in time. Maybe I'll have more thoughts about that towards the end. But something that I'm going to work to do intentionally at this moment towards the end is to continue to be intentional with the coach that I've been assigned to, as well as be intentional with other coaches that I have access to leverage any coaching moments that I can gain as I'm going through this Ascend journey.
I would add just a little bit to that as well. I think that, similar to my colleagues, I had other coaches before, or mentors, or even sponsors. But this opportunity through the program is certainly different. First of all, because as is mentioned, the coaches actually take time to get to know you as a person, get to know your strengths, your weaknesses, everything that is going on around your life, your other social life, professional life, any other commitments, priorities, issues, challenges that you may be facing. The other thing is that coaches approach this coaching opportunity with a predisposition to, hey, we are here as well to learn from you, just like you are here to learn from us. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. And in my case, it's also a very diversified opportunity, as the two coaches and myself, we have different ethnicities and racial identities. So it really helps us to continue to have conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusion in our own perspectives and narratives. And so it's really being really an amazing opportunity to being able to do something like this, specifically for some of us who may have wanted to learn from a professional coach. Like, I know personally that I try and they were really outside of my budget, and knowing that you can do something like that through the program is just fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for that. So I do want to get through two more questions so that we can give the audience an opportunity to ask questions. And if, audience, you have any questions, please do throw them in the chat so that our participants can, our panelists can respond to them as well. And so I shared that the Ascend Sphere has the 5 program components: the coaching, the capstone, the cohort, and the career development mixed with the currency development. So this is a highly engaged program with weekly requirements. So we do meet second, third, and fourth Thursday every month. And there are different objectives for those Thursday meetings. As a mid-career professional, for my panelists, I know that many things happen personally and professionally for each of you. So Brianna has a work-life balance that she shared a little bit. Dell shared a little bit like work-life balance. Not Dell, but Louise didn't share his work-life balance, but he is also very engaged. So you all are coming to the program with so many different things: dissertation, professional affiliation, engagement, so on and so forth. Also life. Dell said all the things, right? All the other titles that we can have, including parader, if you're in New Orleans. So what were some of the hesitations or concerns for you all about participating in the program with regards to the time that was required, with regards to some of the assignments and deliverables that were required?
Sure. So I'll jump right in on that. I think it certainly is, when you're thinking about joining a program such as this one, and I think Louise said it really well, it's giving your all to the program, really taking advantage of the entire opportunity and having the time, even outside of the meetings, to digest the information and to be really thinking about its application to the capstone, the application to your current work. So it is it's an investment of time and money and resources in the program. But I would say one of my hesitations was that when you're thinking about time management, thinking about the year ahead, which is sometimes really difficult to kind of anticipate what might come up in the year. You might have policy changes at the state level, things you have to pivot and move quickly. Our day-to-day jobs don't go away, and you want to give your effort to both the program and your job. So I was really intentional in thinking about, what do I anticipate my upcoming year to look like? And can I really dedicate my resource of time to this program to ensure that I'm getting the most out of it? And then I think that we've talked about it a little bit here and there, is that imposter syndrome. We're talking a little bit about what is some of your hesitation, and it's like that readiness component. Is this program for someone like me in my role? Am I prepared to engage in conversations that are meaningful with other professionals in this space? So I think just really digesting what the program has to offer, knowing what the expectations of the program are, and thinking ahead of those 9 months that you're going to commit to being fully invested in the program, are all really important to consider when evaluating whether or not you choose to apply to the program.
And I'll go ahead and I'll share. I think the first thing that I have to start with is, when I thought about going on this Ascend journey, and I attended a session just like you all did. And the first question I asked myself is like, do I have the capacity for what this program entails? And after I determined whether or not I had the capacity, then like there was no hesitation. But also the other side of that, to be fully transparent, I can be very ambitious. One of my strengths, I think between 2 different tests, competition is right up there. So it's like, I will figure this out. And so once I realized that I have the capacity, or I can, set my life up to have the capacity, I also took this as an opportunity to be better organized with all the different moving parts that I have going on, and specifically planning things out of when are these assignments due, when do I need to read, when are the sessions, and prioritizing myself in professional development. For me, it's a matter of like, this is something that I wanted, this is something that I was hungry for, and no one is going to prioritize my own professional and self-development except for myself. And that's what I chose to do, but also planning things out. And those would be the key things that I took in consideration whenever I was, deciding to go on this ascend journey. But at the same time, I'm hungry for this opportunity to expand and grow as a professional, and to, be among great other professionals who all have some type of goal that we're all aiming to be a better version of ourselves.
I'll be mindful of everyone's time. Briefly, I'll share that certainly the time commitment was the highest one. We all have other priorities, other things to work on. So for me, I wanted to make sure that I needed to be strategic and committed and have discipline in order to be able to, turn in assignments on time. But I also want you to know that life happens and it's unpredictable. And so the program, the coaches, the faculty, they are also empathetic and they are understanding. So they know that if, things come up, okay, fine, you can have additional time to work on additional items. So it won't be the end of the day. And last but not least would be the financial part, which you may be thinking, okay, can I really afford this and how much it is and all of that. So I challenge you to be creative and to be resourceful and know that there are ways for you to uh, get that financial assistance in order for you to help you cover, if not the entire program costs, if not at least partially some of it. There's even a template on the ACRA website that you can tweak and then present that to your supervisor or to your leadership in order to potentially get that buying power to get you to the SEM conference and to the annual meeting.
Awesome. Thank you. I promise you all, I did not pay them to say any of this. I just want to let you know that. To close out our last question, and then again, we really do want you all to ask our colleagues here who are currently in the program any questions that you might have about anything. They are well versed in leadership theories. They got enrollment management basics down. Even though we are just a third way through, they are definitely ready to engage and move forward. So the application opens on October 14. Reflecting on your experiences, what would you say, or who would you say that the Ascend program is best suited for? And what advice would you give someone who may be on the fence beyond time? So time, investment of money, investment of time, but also investment of yourself. So is there any additional nuggets, and who do you think Ascend is best suited towards?
I would say that Ascend is best suited for, again, those mid-level folks in their career who are really interested in taking the next step and challenging themselves, because this is an opportunity that will challenge you. The point of the program is growth and to learn. And so we come in with knowledge from our careers. We come in with a foundation, already working in this enrollment management space or in different areas, financial aid, registrar, all the different areas within the enrollment function at a university. We come in with that understanding and knowledge, but there is learning involved. So I think it's for those who are interested in challenging themselves, for those who want to continue to grow and develop professionally, and to continue to build and expand your network. This program will do all of those things for you. So if that speaks to you, I think this would be a fantastic program for you. I know that those are different elements that have really stood out to me as far as my engagement in this program, and for the folks who I think that this would be best suited for.
There's two things that I'll add to that. If you're looking to be prepared for the next opportunity, whether it's at your institution or someplace else, do not hesitate, apply, and go for it. This program will allow you to start making an impact immediately, on micro levels as well as macro levels. So there's a lot that one can gain, but if you are thinking about that next opportunity and you want to be prepared for it, this program can help you do that.
I would share the same sentiments. I mean, if you know like this is your field, whether it's the registrar, recruitment, admissions, financial aid, and you really want to grow and continue to learn, this is the place to go when it comes to growing in the profession. It's truly an investment in yourself. I always had this philosophy that your professional growth, your professional development should always be at your own hands. So this really it's a great opportunity for you to take advantage of this and consider doing it.
We have some really great questions, and thank you all panelists for your responses. And I agree, it is for everyone. Y'all, they said we look young. They don't know. We had a question in the chat. Are institutions outside of the US also studied in the program? So far, I believe there are 20 states that have been represented in our program, participants, not our applicants. So I do need to go back and pull that information. So far, we had 2 participants from Canada, and we've had 1 participant from the Caribbean who've actually been in our cohort. We are at 50 participants so far with our 5th cohort, and 1 applicant from Ghana who was accepted but rescinded acceptance because of our due dates were way too close the year that she was going to come in. So it was hard for her to get approval for, to financial to fly from Ghana to our conference. So she elected not to participate. Academic advising would fall under academic services. Absolutely. And we have a question from Christina. So you all seem so young. What about someone who is a little older? Is it still a good program? Any thoughts from our panelists?
I would say yes, it's a program that's good for different folks throughout the entire scope of their career. We have a very diverse mix of participants. You get to meet 3 of us in this meeting, but we have 7 others in our cohort that have very diverse backgrounds or various points in their career. So I would say if this is a program that you think would challenge you and be beneficial to you and your career growth, do not hesitate to apply. I do not think age is a factor in whether or not you could be a good participant in this program.
Yeah, I would say the program certainly welcomes all individuals from all different, demographics and in intersectionality elements, all different diverse views are welcome. I don't feel like we even actually consider age as being a factor in the program. We're looking more at you as an individual, what you bring to the table, your experiences, what you're looking to gain.
Louise took the words literally out of my mouth as I was writing them. We don't consider age at all, and that it could be a diversity point of a highlight that we could make. I know for me, I felt like one of the youngest ones 2 years ago, but I was not yet 40. Now that I am over 40, I definitely see a lot of individuals who are here with us, thinking about what it means to move. I have 2 individuals, one from this cohort and one from the previous cohort, who are grandparents. So we may look young, but we have time and we look good considering all that we're going through in the world. But thank you so much for that question, because it's a real question, right? Do I fit, right? And what does diversity look like for me to ask these questions? Do know that our coaches are very, I would say, 40s, 50s, and 60s. One of my favorite coaches, Clayton Smith, used to oversee the SIM conference, and he is currently the editor for the SIM Quarterly. So Clayton has years of experience, but many of our coaches are over 50, and they are AVPs and higher. So the goal really is to get anyone who feels that they are at that mid-career unstuck. I'll use someone's comment from earlier. There was a question, how much travel is required for this program? I'd love for my panelists to answer that question, seeing as you know what's getting ready to happen.
I would say there are the only travel requirements are two, which will be the Strategic Enrollment Management Conference coming up in Boston in November, and then the annual meeting in March/April, where we as cohort will be presenting our project, which is on the Strategic Enrollment Management Plan. And I see from the chat that, there's a follow-up question, I guess, related to that, which is, yes, the conference registration fees are part of the program, so you don't have to pay that yourself. But travel logistics, yes, you will be the responsible party. But like I mentioned before, and I'll share with you my own specific example, I pay for this program out of my own pocket. But then I approach my institution and then I say, hey, this is truly beneficial to the institution for the following reasons. Can you help me out here? And the response was like, absolutely. And now they're covering my flight, they're covering my hotel, and I don't need additional expenses. So it is possible. You just have to be able to sell that to them and to always demonstrate how they are going to benefit from that and how are the students going to benefit from your participation.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Louise. Melanie asked a really good question. She says, I see 48% attendance by records and registrar, and the representing participants are all at the director type level. So actually, most individuals don't come in as directors. I wasn't a director. It depends on your type of institution. So we often don't think about that, right? If you're at a smaller institution, you may not be a part of the C-suite. Your level may be considered mid-level management. I was a program director, which at a community college, and community colleges have different levels that we set when I first joined the program. And then as I was departing the program, I became a director overseeing K-12 state partnerships at a four-year institution. So I left a community, and it's vastly different because many of the individuals who even sat at my level, I was executive, yes, but I was still under a four-year institution. At a two-year institution, it would have been more of a C-suite role, but at a four-year institution, it was still just right there at the cusp, right? You can call us an ABP of sorts. But what does it mean to sit in that role? How do you think about the role? I have a lot of people who come in the ASCEM program as coordinators. It just depends on how you are set. And by your institution, you're not set. Know that there are no limitations around you, but don't think of it as static. What I've seen, and I was getting ready to write, most MVPs that I've seen come from the registrar area, right? There are things that the registrar tends to know. The interesting thing is the registrar has just a broad array of knowledge about the institution, how to drive from a records perspective. However, registrars are always being developed outside of records, right? When we have records management and you then go say that person is great, we're going to give them AVP role or VP role, and they may be missing the leadership, right? So recognizing that many of these roles may be static in that they tend to be kind of constricted, there's so much room to grow to make sure that you're not just a registrar that moves into a great role, you are a great registrar that moves into a great role. And thank you so much, Rich. If you all have any other questions, all of these leaders are on LinkedIn. Would you mind dropping your LinkedIn, Louise, Dale, and Brianna, so that individuals can reach out to you? You can also reach out to me. I'm going to be as honest as possible. Even though I work for the program, I'm still a graduate. So if you have a question, and sometimes when individuals do ask me, they'll message me on LinkedIn, and I'll do some biography information, and then I'll send you over to someone who may be best able to answer that question, because you all may have a little something in common. So I try to connect you with either a current participant or an alumni participant so that they can answer. And I do not prep anybody for answers, because I want you to know authentically if this program is a good investment for you. Louise says something about payment, and I love this. So if you consider that the SIM conference registration fee is $16.70, if the program cost is $1,100, by paying the program cost, you are getting just registration, plus all of the other benefits for a 9-month program to 2 conferences. And before, we used to have just the scholars going to SIM, but we wanted you all to have annual leadership meeting as well, because many people were going to SIM and then you didn't understand the full value of what ACRO offered or where you would go next. So we have all of that there. I'd like to know what is required in the application so I can have my material ready before it opens. Yes, so we don't ask for a letter of support. We do ask now for cohort 6 that you have communicated with your institution to make sure that they are supportive of the work that you do, so that you can do some of your assignments throughout your workday, because it does feed back to the professional development that you have for the role. But essentially, we ask 2 questions, and we ask some demographic information, some basic demographic information. And one of the 2 questions is just your philosophy of enrollment management. And then another question, which is about how do you view your role as being a disruptor, right? An innovative, diverse disruptor. And that's pretty much it. So it's 2 questions and your agreement to understand what you're getting yourself into. But it's a very simple application. But those 2 questions also help us drive the rubric. Louise actually asked that we expand the FAQ. So in the FAQs we've just updated today on our Ascend website, it does tell you how we go about making our selection. So in there, you can get an idea of the questions that we will ask and how you can start to think about them. And by all means, please feel free to email or connect via LinkedIn with any of our panelists about the questions. It's authenticity. It's not age. It's not race. It's not even role. It's, are you ready to be a disruptor? And making sure that we have Ascend is able to offer you all that we can so that you can be that person for the next level of higher education and enrollment management. So thank you so much for joining us. We are available to you. We look forward to seeing you at our future workshops and seeing your applications. Take care.